The Golden State Warriors may not be the frontrunners to land Giannis Antetokounmpo this offseason, but fresh reports suggest the front office should be watching closely how a potential blockbuster involving the Milwaukee Bucks superstar could unfold, and how Golden State might grab a valuable piece from the fallout. Hey, what's up, everyone? Before we jump into everything today, that like button right there is what decides if this video hits hundreds or thousands of people. 1 second is all it takes. But the impact on this channel is massive. Go ahead and hit that like button right now. Seriously, it's the simplest thing you can do. And honestly, the best way to back this content up, because every single like pushes us further. So hit it now. According to respected NBA insider Mark Stein, if the Boston Celtics offered Jaylen Brown in a package for Antetokounmpo, multiple teams around the league would scramble to acquire Brown from Milwaukee afterward. The Warriors were not specifically named among those teams in the original report. But anyone who has followed Golden State's recent front office behavior knows the Dubs would almost certainly explore bringing the 5-time All-Star wing to the Bay if he becomes available. To understand why this matters for Golden State, it helps to lay out how a 3-team structure could come together. In one hypothetical version, the Celtics would land on Antetokounmpo in exchange of Brown, while the Warriors will receive Brown from Milwaukee as part of a connected transaction. In return, the Bucks would get a substantial package that could include a long-tenured Golden State veteran forward who has dealt with significant injury issues this season, along with multiple first-round picks from both the Warriors and Celtics spanning several future years, including selections stretching toward the next decade. Why would the Celtics consider giving up a player of Brown's caliber, plus significant draft compensation, for Antetokounmpo? The answer is simple. Antetokounmpo remains one of the most dominant two-way forces in basketball, and pairing him with the Celtics' existing core would instantly make Boston one of the most fearsome teams in the league. Some fans might balk at party with player Brown's stature, but if several of the picks involved would likely land in the back half of the first round, assuming Boston stays competitive, the math becomes far more palatable from the Celtics' perspective. From Golden State's side, the logic gets even more interesting. If the Bucks end up with Brown as part of this swap, it's unlikely Milwaukee would view him as part of their long-term rebuild. At 29 years old, Brown isn't exactly a foundational piece for a team that just dealt away its franchise cornerstone. Milwaukee would be far more inclined to flip him quickly for additional draft compensation, the way rebuilding teams typically treat players who don't fit their timeline. This is where the Warriors enter the picture. A long-tenured Golden State veteran forward, working his way back from a serious knee injury suffered earlier this season, could realistically be the salary-matching piece the Bucks would request in any deal involving Golden State. The question for the Warriors front office is whether they'd rather hold on to valuable draft assets and wait for that veteran to fully recover from ACL surgery, or instead pivot toward a wing who has been remarkably durable throughout his career and remains under contract for multiple additional seasons. That veteran forward is 36 years old, and there's no guarantee he returns to his pre-injury form once healthy. Brown, meanwhile, has never played fewer than 57 games in any season of his career, and is coming off arguably the best statistical season of his career, averaging well over 25 points per game. For a Warriors team that has battled durability concerns up and down its roster in recent years, that kind of consistency could be extremely appealing. Of course, nothing comes without a cost. Parting with multiple first-round picks, including selections that could become extremely valuable in the post-Stephen Curry era of Warriors basketball, would be a steep price. Golden State has been notably protective of its draft capital recently, recognizing the franchise is approaching a pivotal transition period as its veteran core continues to age. From Milwaukee's perspective, even without landing the Warriors specifically, a deal that nets the Bucks several unprotected first-round picks for trading away their franchise superstar would represent an enormous return. Adding multiple first-round selections from this draft class to picks they already control would give Milwaukee a strong foundation of young assets and draft equity as they begin life after Antetokounmpo. For Warriors fans, the appeal isn't about landing Antetokounmpo himself. Most evaluators agree Golden State doesn't have the assets to compete with Boston in a true bidding war for a player of that magnitude. The real intrigue is positioning the franchise to benefit from the dominoes that fall afterward. if a star wing in his prime becomes available via a Bucks trade exchange, and Golden State can offer enough combined draft value and salary matching pieces, the Warriors could leave this offseason improved without outbidding Boston directly. Scenarios like this remain hypothetical until officially agreed upon, and the trade landscape can shift within days during an offseason this fluid. Still, with Golden State's roster construction in flux and the front office reportedly exploring every avenue to surround its core with difference makers, this domino effect transaction is worth watching as free agency and trade rumors swirl across the league. While the Antetokounmpo trade chatter continues to swirl, there's another storyline brewing in the Bay Area that has Golden State fans even more excited. And this one might be closer to reality than anyone expected just a few months ago. It's no secret the Warriors are looking to upgrade their roster around Stephen Curry this offseason. Golden State was extremely active during February's trade deadline, going so far as to check in on Antetokounmpo's availability at the time. Although nothing materialized between Golden State and Milwaukee, that level of aggression sent a clear signal about how seriously the front office is approaching this stretch of Curry's career. The Warriors' season ended in disappointing fashion, with the team flaming out during the play-in tournament after injuries derailed much of their campaign. One of Golden State's key forwards tore his ACL during the first half of the season, an injury that reshaped the roster's depth chart for the rest of the year. Curry himself battled knee issues late in the season, and while he did return to court, he wasn't quite the same dominant force fans are used to seeing. Heading into the summer, there were real questions about which direction Golden State would take. Would the front office begin a slow transition toward life after Curry, or would they make one more aggressive push to build a championship-caliber roster around their franchise icon? The answer arrived when head coach Steve Kerr agreed to return on a new multi-year deal, a signal that ownership and the front office are committed to one final all-in push during this era of Warriors basketball. If this truly is the beginning of the last chapter for Curry and Golden State, the front office appears determined to surround it with the best possible supporting cast. And there's one name out there that could be the perfect partner for this moment. LeBron James is heading toward the end of one of the most decorated careers in NBA history, and he's set to become a free agent this summer. Nobody knows for certain where the future Hall of Famer will suit up next season, but it's widely understood that James wants one more legitimate shot at a championship before his career winds down. What better landing spot than Golden State, where James would have the opportunity to team up with Curry, a partnership that already has a successful track record. The two shared the floor together during Team USA's run to a gold medal in 2024, and reports have indicated Curry himself has been actively involved in trying to recruit James to join him in the Bay. Both James and Curry are veterans at this stage of their careers, but neither has shown significant signs of slowing down. Both players remain capable of dominating stretches of games and taking over in big moments, something that hasn't gone unnoticed by opposing coaching staffs around the league. James dealt with an early season absence this past year due to sciatica issues, but that didn't stop him from putting together another remarkably efficient season, averaging around 21 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists while shooting roughly 52% from the field. He also delivered a strong postseason performance, helping his team advance to the second round of the playoffs despite missing key teammates for much of that stretch. For Golden State, James represents exactly the kind of complementary piece that has been missing alongside Curry in recent seasons. The Warriors need someone capable of carrying a significant share of the offensive load, someone who can create easy scoring opportunities for Curry throughout the course of a game, rather than relying on him to generate everything himself. The chemistry between James and Curry during their time together at the Olympics was immediately evident, and that was after only a brief stretch of practices and exhibition games. Imagine what kind of synergy the two could build over the course of an 82-game regular season, with training camp, practice time, and game reps to refine their on-court partnership. The Western Conference remains as competitive as ever, and Golden State knows it needs difference-making talent to keep pace with the top teams in the conference. Adding James would undeniably make the Warriors one of the oldest rosters in the league by average age, but would also give them a level of championship pedigree and experience that very few, if any, teams could match heading into a playoff run. As the offseason progresses, all eyes will be on how this recruitment effort unfolds, and whether Curry's personal involvement in the pursuit ends up making the difference. For a fan base that has watched this core chase one more title for several years now, The idea of adding a player James' caliber represents the kind of bold, dream scenario move that could define this entire era of Warriors basketball, win or lose. As Golden State continues to monitor the LeBron James situation from afar, a new report involving the Lakers' teammate might be the clearest signal yet about which direction James is leaning this summer, and it has Warriors fans paying close attention. Both James and his Lakers teammate are among the most significant free agents this offseason, and a contrasting update on the two could give Golden State exactly the clue the front office has been searching for regarding their chances of landing the veteran superstar. The Warriors remain widely viewed as the biggest threat to lure James away from Los Angeles, and there's real uncertainty surrounding his future with the Lakers, especially compared to clarity around his teammate's situation. In a significant update over the weekend, NBA insider Mark Stein reported the Lakers are expected to re-sign their 28-year-old guard, who just wrapped up another career-best season in his fifth year with the franchise. According to Stein, the player's fondness of the city, combined with his growing backcourt partnership, are strong indicators both sides will reach a new agreement. While that update isn't particularly surprising on its own, the more interesting takeaway might actually be what Stein didn't say about James. The 41-year-old was mentioned in the same breath as his teammate as one of the most prominent names on the league's list of upcoming unrestricted free agents. But notably, Stein offered no similar clarity about James' future with the organization the way he did for the younger guard. Is a lack of detail simply because there's genuinely nothing concrete to report on James at this point, meaning his future truly remains uncertain? If so, that's exactly the kind of opening the Warriors would be hoping for, particularly given that the Lakers reportedly have had roughly a 2-week head start in terms of internal negotiations with the 22-time All-Star. Or could it be a reflection of priorities, that re-signing the younger guard is simply the Lakers' top concern this offseason among their two most prominent free agents? That wouldn't be entirely surprising given the difference in their ages and career arcs. Either way, it gives Golden State another reason to believe James could be genuinely available. The rumors connecting James to the Warriors have only intensified in recent weeks. The chatter reached a new level over the weekend when a prominent national NBA media personality declared on his podcast that he would bet everything on Golden State being the eventual outcome for James in free agency. That's a bold prediction, but it reflects a growing sentiment among insiders that momentum may be shifting in the Warriors' direction. At the same time, plenty of other voices around the league still consider the Lakers the favorites to retain James and keep him in Los Angeles for what will become his 9th season with the franchise, and potentially beyond that, depending on how his body holds up. Regardless of which direction this goes, both the Lakers and Warriors have significant work ahead of them this offseason. Both organizations currently find themselves trailing the true contenders in the Western Conference, with the Warriors arguably needing the larger jump in talent to close that gap and return to championship contention. For Golden State, every piece of information matters at this stage, even information that comes via separate teams' roster decisions. If the silence around James' future continues, and if the gap between the two Lakers star situations keeps widening, it could be exactly the signal Warriors fans have been hoping for. It's also worth considering the timeline here. Free agency negotiations typically move quickly once the official period opens, and teams with head starts on relationship building often have a real advantage. The fact that the Lakers reportedly have a jump start on the Warriors in terms of talking with James doesn't necessarily mean Los Angeles has the inside track on retaining him, but it does mean Golden State will need to move efficiently and decisively if and when the opportunity to pitch James directly arrives. There's also the matter of roster construction beyond just James himself. Even if Golden State successfully recruits a player of his caliber, the front office would still need to figure out how the rest of the roster fits around two aging superstars. Salary cap implications, depth at other positions, and the team's overall timeline would all become immediate considerations the moment any agreement is reached. None of that diminishes the excitement of the pursuit, but it's a reminder that even a successful recruitment is just the first step toward building a roster capable of competing at the highest level. For now, all signs point toward an offseason full of speculation, insider reports, and shifting storylines. The coming weeks of free agency are likely to bring much more clarity, and every report, leak, and insider update will be scrutinized closely by a fan base desperate for the kind of superstar addition that could define the next chapter of this team's championship window. Whether it's James himself or simply the broader picture how the Lakers' offseason decisions ripple outward, Warriors fans have plenty of reasons to keep watching closely as the situation develops day by day.